This is Luke 21:35. For as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. I like to start off by saying, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawashi, Call Haloyim La Yahawah, Bahashem Yahawashi, Bahashem, Bachakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who do well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwaf that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shawab Amawan back at you with another lesson. And going into the title, all right, the only way they can erase debt is by crashing the system or bringing in, all right, this new world order, this RFID, MOTB, all right, which, 2026, the year of the NWO, all right, and technology, which through the Spirit, Lord willing, the Lord brings that technology in this year. That's something that I hope for, all right, and I feel through the Spirit that it may well be presented around the 250-year mark, all right, of this society. They're coming around on July 4th, the 250-year mark of them ruling. All right, and they're going to celebrate somehow, some way. All right, and Lord willing, is going to be through the way of this NWO and this technology. All right, and it seems like it might be, because the more we keep increasing in this war, all right, the more we get closer, to all these nations hating America and being ready to destroy it. All right, because of the anger. All right, towards America, it just shows us how close we are to the RFID being made mandatory. All right, because in chronological order, the Lord has to put the RFID hit first, being made mandatory first, in order for this place to be annihilated. All right, and never to be inhabited again. All right, so with that being said, let me grab this video. All right, this is. So like, man, there's just so much footage coming out on this war right now, which is beautiful because, hey, man, prophecy is playing out heavy right now. All right, but let me grab this video. All right, this is, hold on, I got it. Here we go.
How can a country of just 9 million people have such a grip on the world's biggest superpower? Why does the U.S. send $3.8 billion every year to Israel?
No, it's like it. That's not it. Got so many damn videos.
For the first time in history, the world's superpower, America, is trapped in a debt cycle they cannot escape.
Hold on, let me open this up real quick.
And while the world is distracted by news, elections, and market pumps, for the first time in history, the world's superpower, America, is trapped in a debt cycle they cannot escape. And while the world is distracted by news, elections, and market pumps, a completely new financial order is being built in real time. This is not a theory. Ray Dalio studied every major empire, Dutch, British, American, and found the same pattern every single time. Let me tell you what he explained. So empires don't start with war. They start with education, innovation, and productivity. That's how the U.S. rose after 1945. It built the world's reserve currency, controlled global trade, dominated technology, had the strongest military and capital markets on earth. This is the golden age for any nation. Then comes the turning point. Debt starts growing faster than income. Money gets cheaper. Asset prices explode. The rich get richer. The wealth gap widens. And people think this will last forever. But in stage 6, history gets brutal. Debt hits extreme levels. Governments must have print money to survive. Internal conflict rises. Political division explodes. And a new external power challenges the system. For the first time in modern history, the U.S. has record debt, record inequality, and rising rivals start building a parallel financial system. Not in theory, but in real time. New trade routes.
We're going to stop right there, right? I know exactly where it's at.
Systems.
And that's the scripture right there, Habakkuk 2 and Let me grab that. This is Habakkuk 2 and 6. I'll take it from 5. It says, I'll take it from 4. It says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. Okay. But the just shall live by his faith. All right. So this devil's soul is not, is not right. Okay. He is constantly, producing wickedness. Right. It says also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man. All right. By different types of philosophies. All right. It says neither a keeper at home who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied. All right. He's not satisfied with blood and the hell that he brings upon this place. Right. But it says, but he gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. And how is he going to be able to do that? By the way of this technology. Okay. Because this technology, right, this MOTB is going to be a global thing. Okay. Literally a global thing. So that's going to be the snare that comes upon this world. All right. It says, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. All right. So, eventually you're going to have all these nations that's going to come up against them. All right. And, they're going to conspire against them. Okay. It says, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. And Esau's known for that. All right. Esau's known for taking, everything that he doesn't own. He somehow gets his hands on it and then he calls it his own. All right. He'll go and, take another person's, take over someone else's country and then he'll call it his own country. All right. As a matter of fact, tells you that in, let me grab that, Micah 2 and 1. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. You see, so they're known to oppress a man. All right. And even their heritage. OK, so he'll go to other people's countries, take over their country, take over their culture, take over their resources. OK, take everything that's not theirs and then call it their own, to the point where they'll take over a land and even call the land by their names, as the scriptures say. OK, it says even man and his heritage. Right. So now let's go back to Habakkuk 2 and 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against them and a taunting proverb against them, saying, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that laddeth himself with thick clay. All right. When you go into that word thick clay, all right. When you go into that word thick clay, it goes into, it says weight of pledges, heavy debts, you see. So is that not what it was just speaking about in America, that they're just filled with great debt? All right. And they're at an all-time high of great debt. All right. And see, this devil's going to be so grimy that he will never pay that back. All right. And how's he going to be able to erase these things, man? The only way he can truly erase that is by crashing this system, by bringing in, all right, this new technology, this MOTB, all right, and bringing a new way of currency. Okay. That's how he's going to try to make it, be erased at the end of the day. All right. So it says, let me see what else is in there. Is the root word. All right. It says to take a pledge, give a pledge for a debt. You see, to take a pledge and give a pledge for a debt. All right. And to interchange, it says to interchange means to what? To exchange things exchange things with each other. The action of interchanging things, especially information. Okay. And how's he going to do that? He going to do that, all right, by the way of the technology. All right. It also says alteration. Okay. He going to swap. It says swap. Swap what? He going to swap the systems. Okay. He going to get rid of the old system. All right, the old order, which is what money is part of the old world order, and he gonna bring in this new world order. All right, and it's gonna be in the way of these CBDCs. All right, Salakia, of these CBD banking systems. Okay, it's gonna go into the technology of, you know, having universal basic income. All right, bringing in this Palantir, bringing in this the social credit score system. Okay, that's all part of his new system right there, and that's how he gonna erase the old system. All right, and how's he gonna really erase this old system? By collapsing this place, by resetting this place, you know, causing an outage. Okay, excuse me, causing an outage, you know, bringing in a cyber attack if he could. Okay, and then try to blame it on something. Might come and blame it on Iran, since we're in the midst of war. Okay, and then he's got what you call problem, reaction, solution. Okay, he gonna create a problem. He already knows the reaction that people gonna give. All right, because he's done multiple accounts of basically testing America to see how they react to certain situations. All right, and then he's gonna present onto you what? He's gonna present onto you this solution. Okay, and the solution is going to be all of this debt can be cleared, all of this debt can be resolved. All right, if you just take and bow down to this system, this image of this MOTB. Okay, and then we can all go back to being normal. You know, him speaking sweetly with his lips, but imagining how to throw thee into a pit. Because at the end of the day, he really just trying to get you to bow down. All right, and going to you Jakes, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Right. He wants you to bow down to his system before your maker. Okay. And as long as he, you know, he makes you bow down, you pretty much, you know, finished out here for that. You see? So best believe, all right, that he's going to try to find a way, all right, to reciprocate, how you say that? Reciprocate. All right. The tables, man. All right. He's going to try to find a way to make up for that debt. All right. And because he has the power to do it, he has the power to be able to, you know, well, like we read in Micah. Okay. Let me grab that one more time. All right. He has the power in his hand to oppress a man, even a man in his heritage. Okay. So let's go back to Habakkuk 2:6. It says, shall not all these take up a parable against them and a taunting proverb against them and say, woe to him that increases that which is not his. All right. Because none of this devil don't own nothing, man. All right. He has to be. That's why he has to go to everybody's backyard and take everything that they have. Okay. Because he's a wanderer. Okay. A wanderer is someone that wanders up and down the earth, has no culture, you know, owns nothing. That's one of the curses that the Lord put upon him. He's going to be a wanderer and a fugitive. So he goes to everybody else's backyard to take what they have, okay, and add it to his, you know, to his trophies, man, okay, and claim that it's his. So it says, which is not his, how long? And to him that laddeth himself with thick clay, all right, you know, with great debt. Let's see what that word laden means, all right. To be heavy with, okay, to be burdensome, all right. Says to honor, to be honored, all right. And even though he's doing some grimy work, right? He takes honor in himself. He takes pride in himself in the debt that he could care less, okay, because he knows that he has the fatness of the earth. He knows he has the blessing of the sword, and that's the pride of his heart that has deceived him, man. Okay, to make unresponsive. Oh no, so I thought that was gonna say responsible. Salakia. Nah, I ain't gonna use that. All right, let me see. To boast himself. Okay, he boasts himself all the time in everything he does. All right. Yeah, let's leave it at that. All right. So now let's finish this video.
For the first time in history, the world's Governments must have print money to survive. Internal conflict rises, political division explodes, and a new external power challenges the system. For the first time in modern history, the U.S. has record debt, record inequality, and rising rivals start building a parallel financial system. Not in theory, but in real time. New trade routes, new payment systems, gold accumulation by central banks, local currency settlements. This is how world orders change. Dalio's model shows what always comes next. Currencies lose value, markets become violent, debt gets restructured, and power shifts. The old order doesn't disappear in one day, it gets replaced piece by piece. But wait, this is not about fear, it's about understanding the cycle. Because when world orders change, wealth is not destroyed, it moves. The biggest risk is not the collapse. The biggest risk is being positioned for the last cycle in a world that has already entered the next one. The new financial order isn't coming.
And that's going to be what? The transformation, man. See, that's why people are going to be caught by surprise. That's why it's going to be a snare, because these people are not going to be ready for the transformation. Okay. Even though they're hearing about it. Okay. A lot of people still stuck in that delusion, thinking that it's not going to come. All right. Thinking that, you know, so you got some people that think that we're going to end up joining the BRICS, that we're going to join these other nations. Nah, it ain't going to be like that. This devil is greedy. This devil wants his system in play. Okay. And we're not talking about your elites. We're not talking about your average Joe Schmo out here. Right? They know exactly what time it is. They see their kingdom being collapsed. All right. But our people are so lost. You know, you ask our people, do they think that that MOTB is coming? They don't think that. All right. Some are awake to it. All right. But most of them, you know, I've asked people that I know, do you think this is coming now? We ain't never going to see that. You know, we're going to end up going to the yuan. All right. They're going to go to the BRICS nation somehow, some way. See, nah, that's not how it. These nations don't even want to deal with America no more. Why would they even allow them to come into their money? You see, why would they allow them into their system if they already know that they can't be trusted? Okay, these nations can't trust America no more. That's why everybody's pretty much moving away from the dollar. Everybody's pretty much not dealing with America in any type of sense anymore, cutting them off, cutting ties. You see, they don't even want to do trade with them anymore. Okay, so why would they allow them into their system, knowing that this devil, if he comes into the system, he might find a way to fuck it all up? Okay, so that's not going to happen.
Already being built.
All
the
right.
only question is, will you see it in time? Follow through. The biggest risk is not the collapse. The biggest risk is being positioned for the last cycle in a world that has already entered the next one. The new financial order isn't coming. It's already being built. The only question is, will you see it in time? Follow for more real macro positioning, not mainstream narratives.
And it's already here because they've been giving you gradualism on that infrastructure of what's to come. You know, they've been prepping your mind, all right, mentally, okay, to be able to, you know, follow along with it when it's, you know, when it's given. You see, if you look how everything has been played out, you know, we went from, you know, going to a bank, then from not even, you don't even have to go to the bank no more. Now you have your credit card, you know, everything became, you know, you swiping, everything's in your phone. Okay. Now they've been prepping you to, you know, use your phone, swipe your hand, things like that. All right. Use your palm through biometrics and all that. All right. And eventually there's pretty much one more level, and that will be to actually have the technology that's been used for you to pay to put it actually in your hand, you know, and make it as what? Convenience. You know, you won't be able to get robbed. You won't be able to have, you know, misidentity. Okay. Remember, it's always about convenience. And that's what they've been doing gradually. They've been giving you convenience more and more to make you believe it's an easier way to handle things. Okay. And to the point where it's an easier thing it's an easier way to handle things. And it's all the information that you need all in one device. Okay. But we're not ignorant to Satan's devices, as the scriptures tell you. Okay. And even though this devil has his devices, all right, his enterprise is not going to stand, because the Lord going to put a stop to that. All right. As the scriptures tell you in Job, the 20th chapter, right, in the fullness of his sufficiency. All right. He's going to be, while he is filling up his belly. All right. The Lord is going to what? He's going to lift up that standard against them. All right, which, you know what, let me just grab it real quick. This is Job 20 and 22, and it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, all right, in the height of his technology, okay, when he is the most proudful, you know, thinking that, hey man, I got it all figured out, okay, he shall be in straits, every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. Yeah, so his own wickedness is going to return upon his own head, man. It's going to return upon his own pate, as the scriptures say, right? This is Job 5 and 12, and it reads, he disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. You see, so the Lord gonna disappoint the devices of the crafty. Here it was that he was being so crafty with it to bring it out. All right, just like look how crafty he was with bringing out the device of the internet. All right, the intelligence of the internet, and he thought he was gonna be so crafty with it to continue to mislead us. And look, it ended up smacking him in the face. Why? Because the same way that he built it to try to deceive people is the same way that the Lord flipped the script on him to be able to use it for us to open the minds of the people, you see? So he'll create something, right? And it'll only be a temporal thing that he is able to rule with it, but eventually the Lord stops, you know, what he has created, what he has used, all right, to deceive us with. Okay, and then he flips the script on them. All right, and what does it tell you in let me grab that, Isaiah 32 and 9, and it says, 7, the instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the poor speaketh right. All right, so his smooth tricks, right, his schemes, they're all evil. He plots crooked schemes on us. All right. But what's going to happen? All right. The Lord said, rest in the Lord. Right. Psalms 37 and 37 and 7. It says, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. All right. Why? Because even though they prosper, okay, the Lord's going to cut them off, man. All right. We know and understand what his end is going to be. All right. We understand that it's only going to be for a limited amount of time that he's going to be able to present his enterprise, man. But the Lord's going to stop that. Rest in the Lord Yahweh and wait patiently for him, and fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. You see, cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, for evildoers shall be cut off. But those that wait upon the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, they shall inherit the earth. You see, so us being, walking in that faith, okay, and not avenging ourselves, because vengeance is Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, right? We are eventually gonna be taken from that hour of temptation. All right. As long as we have faith in the Lord and don't bow down to the system, the Lord said what in Revelations 3 and 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. You see, he said, hold that fast that thou hast, that no man snatch thy crown. So hold this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. That's the stability of thy times. Hold it. All right. Because, hey, the Lord going to do his works. The Lord going to end this devil's rulership, man. Okay. Just when he thinks that he has the whole world in the palm of his hand. You see? It says, let me see, did I have another one real quick? Down a little bit. Now, let me grab Proverbs, all right? This is Proverbs 20, 19 and 21, and it says, there are many devices in a man's heart, nevertheless the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, that shall stand. You see, so he has all these devices, right? He has all these thoughts of taking over everything, right? But the counsel of the Lord is going to stand. That's why we're going to rest in the Lord. That's why we're going to be patient, all right? Which patience means to what? To suffer, okay? At the end of the day, we know that even though this devil has a certain agenda, it's not going to work out in his favor, man, because the counsel of the Lord shall stand. What's been prophesied, what we've been holding on to is going to, you know, is going to rule over that. You see, faith is going to flourish over wickedness out here. You see, the Lord's going to do his works. The Lord going to do his miracles. The Lord is going to line up those that need to be destroyed of our people. You see, you're going to have 2/3 of our people that are going to be cut off and die in the land, as the scriptures tell you in Zechariah 13:8. But, all right, you got some that's going to be numbered to the sword, some that's going to be numbered to the famine, and the rest going to be numbered to this device, okay, to this snare. And they're going to eventually be taken out by these missiles anyway. But those that don't bow down to the system, okay, they're going to be rewarded, man, with eternal life. That's why we just have to hold on, okay? So that's pretty much the point. All right, let me just end it with this. This is Isaiah 36, all right, and 6, and it reads, "Lo, thou trustest in a staff of this broken reed on Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt to all that trust in him." Okay, so again, you know, putting your trust in the shadow of Egypt is going to be your shame and your confusion, because he's not going to be able to make it out of here, man. All right, that system is going to be destroyed, whether you know whether you know he's going to bring it into play. All right, but regardless, man, the Lord's going to intervene at that moment. Okay, so you'd rather suffer with the children of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua than to have pleasures of sin for a season. You see, you take that chip just to go back to have a drink of water, just to have a slice of bread, all right? Or for you to think that you're going back to reality, how it used to be, it's going to destroy you anyway, man, because the whole system is going to be destroyed, all right? This devil's going to be destroyed, and you're going to be destroyed for bowing down to his system and making, you know, taking on his image, which the Lord told you not to. You're supposed to be taking on the image of Yahushua, not making provision for the flesh, all right? So, you know, it's not gonna work out in his favor regardless, man, at the end of the day. So I'll leave it there through the Spirit. Lord willing, you were edified. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Call Halonim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Bachakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Hakim and the Akwath that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith, enduring as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. To the next one, Shalom. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah.